having him cut my hair a little bit because my brother always did growing up.
Yeah.
And growing up, my brother always called it a shape up, not a line up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I asked my roommate, I said, "Hey man, can you help? Can you just give me a shape up like the back of my head because I can't see it?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." So he comes in the bathroom, he gets the clippers, no guard, whatever. And he starts shaving the back of my head. And I go, "What are you?"
Whoa.
He said, "You said shave up." I said, "No." I said, he goes, "I call that a line up." And I was like, "Well, I'm never right."
We can't have this.
Right. We were not on the same page. So I quickly learned I'm going to start changing up my verbiage because line is probably easier to understand. Yeah.
It was shady.
No, but like, I'm like, Jerry's like, hey, let's shape up.
Yeah. Just shape it up for me. So I walk around with I was like, well, it's either shave it all the way off, which I didn't want to do, or leave the patch. So I just left the patch.
Man.
Try something 2 weeks, see if it caught on.
A couple people noticed it. It was your little basketball season, so yeah, guys out there like, "What's up with the back of your head?"
Oh, man.
Like, mind your business.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Wearing turtlenecks.
Right.
All the way
Middle of summer. What are you doing?
I was contemplating whether or not to leave that conversation in there or take it out, but I chose to leave it in there because it's a very important part of what we do as barbers. You have what's called the client consultation right before the haircut. So it's important that before the haircut, we definitely make sure that we're on the same page with our client so that they get the type of service that they had in mind in the first place. But as you can see here, I am giving my client a skin fade. I've actually been cutting his hair at the time of this recording, probably about at least 10 years at this point. So he's definitely been a steady client that I've been cutting for a long period of time. So that's why you didn't necessarily see the need for a consultation in the beginning of this haircut. But as you can see, I am using the trimmer to go ahead and to create the first line around the sides. So we're just balding it out right now, as you can see here. And I am using that's the Andis Phenom that I'm using right there, the Andis Phenom trimmer. Okay. You see also I'm definitely using my gloves, keeping everything clean, sanitary. You see I am holding the ear. I remember back in the days, old school barbers, man, sometimes they didn't actually hold the ear with one hand. They would sometimes use the knuckle of the same hand that's holding the trimmer in order to be able to cut the hair behind the ear. Sometimes it worked, but sometimes it didn't. Sometimes your ear got nicked a little bit, but I guess they felt that they were skilled enough to go ahead and do it. And of course, there's been plenty of times in my career where I've tried it. Haven't remembered nicking anybody, but it just felt a little uncomfortable. So I said, man, it's not going to hurt. Go ahead and using two hands. But as you can see, I am making my first guideline with the clipper open. That's the Andis Phenom clipper that I'm using right here. First guideline with the clipper open. Depending on the length of the fade, you're going to be going up about 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch around the perimeter of the haircut. So you can see I'm just going around, making sure everything's nice and clean. And when you have a really good clipper, you don't have to do a whole lot of work to make sure that, you know, your guidelines are clean. So that's why it's important. Setting the second one there, I had put the one guard on there. So the one guard is on there right now. And I'm going around. So as you can see too, it's very important to create an environment where the client is comfortable, where you're having a good time. So we have to be mindful what we're playing on the television or what we're playing on the radio, just to make sure that we're creating the right environment. We want to have good conversations in the shop as well, to make sure that we keep the environment positive, so as we're working, they don't necessarily feel the work that we're doing, so to say, but they can just enjoy their time there at the shop. Like, that's the kind of environment that you want for your clients at the barbershop. So I was just showing you, I put the 2 guard on there, and we're going up with the 2. So at this point, as I'm going up, everything is in the closed position. Okay, as far as when I put the guards on. So when I put the 1 guard on, it was in the closed position. When I put the 2 guard on there, it's also in the closed position. Okay, and that's with the lever arm on the side of the clipper tilted all the way towards the blade, and you see the blade looks like it's kind of in a closed motion. Okay, the cutting blade and the static blade or the comb blade are lined up together when the clipper is considered closed. So I just put the 3 on there. So I'm going up some more with the 3 guard. And as you can see, you don't need to use a lot of pressure to where, you're making the client's head move too much, but just enough to where you're cutting the hair, because you want to keep the experience comfortable for the client. You don't want the client feel like they're getting beat up while they're in the chair. You want them to be nice and relaxed. You want them to have a comfortable experience. A good haircut almost feels like a massage. So it's very relaxing. It's a very positive experience. Just putting the 4 guard on there right now. So going up there with the 4. Starting with the grain. If he wants to take a little bit off the top, but not too much. I did ask him that question. I just want to take a little off the top. So we're going with the grain. Also, make sure that your clippers stay charged. I know there's some people like, duh, that's common sense, whatever. But there's so many of us that get so busy, we forget to charge our cordless clippers and trimmers. So when you really need them to work for you, you need them to operate for you. There's a lot of people, man, that they just forget. And when it comes time for that clipper to perform for them, that thing is on red. You know what I'm saying? And then you got a situation. And that could be your favorite clipper. You might not be able to use it. You got to use something else while that one is charging, so you can later use that one for your client. So we are definitely taking our time. You see, I'm not rushing with the haircut. I'm familiar with this grade of hair because I've been cutting it for so long. So I can take wide strokes like that. But if you have a client in the chair for the first time, you don't always want to necessarily attack the haircut with wide strokes like that, because you're not really familiar. And even if you're starting out, you're not really familiar with the texture of the client's hair. So you really want to take your time before getting that comfortable, because you're going to learn different hair types, textures. You're going to learn people are going to have different things going on with their skin. You're going to learn that, people have different levels of sensitivity. I had one client in my chair one year who had recently gotten stitches taken out, and he didn't tell me until I was, in that area in the haircut. And then he's like, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So then he explains to me the fact that he went ahead and, had some surgery done or whatever, and recently got those stitches taken out. And I'm like, man, I wish you would have told me earlier. I definitely been way more careful, but being that I got the warning when I did for the rest of the haircut, I was super, super careful. So there's a lot of different things going on with different clients that you get in the chair. So you just gotta be cautious. But if it's somebody, you've been cutting for a while, it's going to be pretty easy to go ahead and kind of like just flow, artistically with your style when you're giving them their haircut. As you can see, the guides lines are very distinct. So it's going to be really easy for me to go ahead and to go back and to take those lines out. One of the things I'm able to do also is cut hair with both hands. I can cut with my right and with my left. And that's basically from years of doing it. There's been times where I've worked out in the past and, my right shoulder was kind of hurting. So I had to learn how to use my left hand to cut as well. You know what I'm saying? So it just came after time of doing it. But you definitely want to get in the habit of that because you do have two hands. I remember there was one game where Kobe Bryant was having an issue with one of his shoulders. And his coach was basically saying, he asked him, do you want me to go ahead and send you to the locker room? He's like, nah, I got another one. You know what I'm saying? So you want to have that set up for yourself as a barber. You don't just want to be a one-handed barber. You want to be able to use both hands. And that way you'll be able to continue to cut in any type of situation. I just opened it. So that's the 3 open that I have on there. Taking that top line out. One of the things that my clients say that they love about me is the fact that I take my time. They don't feel like the service is rushed. They can go ahead and sit back and just know that they're, being taken care of. They don't just feel like, I'm just another dollar, I'm just another buck or whatever the case may be, but they see that I take what I do very seriously. So that's something that's very important for you to keep in mind. Yes, we got bills to pay. Yes, we have responsibilities. Yes, we have stuff to do when it comes to our finances. But the last thing you want to do is make your clients just feel like, another dollar amount or just another head in the chair. You know what I'm saying? You want to make them feel like you care about them. You really care about their haircut. You care about them looking good. Because when people are getting into your chair, it's for serious reasons. I remember when I was living in Brooklyn, the barber whose shop that I was working at, his name was Mr. Marion. And he always had one-liners. He always had very interesting things to say all the time that was deep. You kind of walk away and think about it for a second like, man, that was good. But one of the one-liners he gave me, he said, barbershop is like a funeral home. You got to be there when the call comes. So it's important for us to understand that when people come to us for haircuts, they're coming for serious reasons. People have first dates, job interviews, funerals. There are all types of things going on and all types of reasons for them. Once again, there are all types of reasons why people come to us for services. So we want to be mindful of that. So we'll make sure we're doing our very best to take care of our clients and give them what they need for that specific occasion. Because you just never know. You know what I'm saying? What you do for your clients stays with them. So you want to be sure that You're putting your best foot forward for your clients at all times. So as you can see, we're blending those lines out. I'm taking those lines out. You can see the idea of the haircut coming into fruition. And that's one very important thing that you have to have in mind. When you're doing the consultation, you want to envision the haircut. Now, sometimes they might have a picture to show you that you can look at and say, okay, and take your notes and do what you have to do while you're looking at the picture. But other than that, as you're doing this for a while, it's going to be very easy for you to picture in your mind what type of haircut this client wants. And in the consultation, you want to always ask, if they're asking for a skin fade, you want to ask, do you want it high? Do you want a mid fade? Do you want a low fade? Do you want a drop fade? If they don't know what you mean, try to find some pictures of different types of fades so they can be able to see and make a decision on what type of fade they want. If you're watching this as a client, this is a very important tip for you to have some pictures in mind of the type of fade that you want. If you want a high fade, if you want a mid fade, if you want a low fade, if you want a drop fade, if you want it all the way down to the skin on the sides, if you want a number 1 on the side, a number 2 on the side, what length you want the top, if you want a 4 on the top, if you want a 2 on the top, with the grain, against the grain, if you have very straight hair, if you want it finger length, or if you just looking to, take an inch off or 2 inches off. These are the things you want to have in mind when you're sitting down with the barber to have the consultation, so you'll know exactly how to articulate what you want wherever you go. Because sometimes you might have to go out of town for work, or sometimes you might be at a wedding out of town and haven't had a chance to catch your barber at home. So now you're in a town that you're not familiar with. But if you're good at articulating what type of haircut you want, you're more likely to be able to get that. You know what I'm saying? And it may not be the exact way that your barber cuts, but you still can get a good haircut. And so then, catch your regular barber when you get back home. So it's very important for us to communicate. And, one of the worst things that some people say is like, hey, you're the barber or you're the professional, do your thing. What it means to be a professional in what we do is to be really good at giving you what you want. I look at a barber as a servant. I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? All day long, I give people what they want as a barber. All day long, that's what I do. I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm looking to give the type of service that the client wants. So I'm asking the client, what do you want? How do you want the top? How do you want the sides? How do you want your line? How do you want it lined up in the back? Do you want it round? Do you want it square? Do you want it faded out? All of these things are important for us to communicate. So as you can see, we're blending that line out. And I'm showing you where I have it. At this point that you had just saw, I was using the corner of the clippers. It's very important to learn how to use like those last 3 teeth in the corner of the clippers to utilize, to take the line out in the bottom, because you don't always have to lay it flat. Because sometimes if you're not careful, you can mess around and create another line that you have to go back and take out. So, and then this client right here on his sides, he takes it all the way down, not just to the trimmer, but all the way down to the close shaver. So you know, you have the Andis Profoil, you know, you have these type of things. So you know what I'm talking about. So he takes the size all the way down to the close shaver. So, you know, you really got to know what you're doing to cut a client with this type of hair, or else you will leave distinct lines of demarcation, and it just won't be a good look. As a matter of fact, with this specific client, he's gone places and people have asked him like, yo, where you get your hair cut? And he'll tell them whether he's at the job or is at the gym or something like that. And he sent me several clients throughout the years just by being a walking billboard. So that's another reason why you want to make sure that you're taking good care of the clients that you have in the chair, no matter what's going on. You could be, you know, frustrated from the day. You can be tired. You can be, you know, in a position where you're not really feeling well physically, but you have to make sure with every client that you have in the chair that you're putting your best foot forward every single time. And even if it's a client that's been seeing you for years and years, you still want to give them your best every time, because you can never say, oh, they'll understand, you know, if I give them a half grade or half effort cut this time, you know, they know I'm going through things or things of that nature. No, never assume that. Never have that mindset. Always strive for greatness. Always strive for excellence. Everything you do has your name on it. So never settle for mediocrity. Always strive for greatness with everything you do. With everything you do. Using my favorite finisher right now. That's the Andis Master. My favorite finisher, y'all. I like using the Wall Senior to take the bulk out in the beginning of the haircut. I also like using the Andis Phenom clipper to do that as well. You know, to go ahead and take that bulk out. But you'll find me oftentimes finishing with that Andis Master. I'm finishing with that Andis Master, man. The Andis Master was actually the first professional clipper that I purchased. At that point, I had been cutting for about 7 years. I started cutting when I was 13 years old to help my mother out. She was raising 5 of us by herself. So me and my younger brother were only men in the house. So, you know, I just figured that's what I can do to help her save some money and also to place us in a good position. You know what I'm saying? But when I started cutting in a barbershop at the age of 20, that's when I got the Andis Master. Other than that, I was using a lot of wall home clippers, but I got that Andis Master, man. And that thing, it was heavy. It was shiny. You could tell the blades were super sharp. And I love the way it cut. You see how my client is enjoying himself? That's the type of environment that you want to create. It's not just fades and tapers and lineups and, you know, all of this stuff, man. Scissor over hand, clipper over comb. It's not just that. It's an experience that we are supposed to create for our clients that make an impact in their lives. Because 9 times out of 10, what men do, and that's the Profoil that I'm putting on the sides right there, finishing it out. But 9 times out of 10, what men do is they take care of everybody first. You know, they take care of the wife or the girlfriend, children, job, grandma, and you know what I'm saying? They take care of everybody else, and then, you know, they get to the point where they're finally taking care of themselves. It's finally their time. And so that's the time when they're going ahead and, not worrying about the rest of the world. They got the rest of the world taken care of. Now they're finally sitting down and taking care of themselves. That's a very special time. That's a very important time. And we don't want to take that time for granted. We don't want to take that time lightly. We want to be very mindful of this client. This is a person with a life. You want to take care of this client and make sure that they enjoy the experience, that it's a relaxing experience, it's a stress-free experience for them, and they know they're going to walk out of there not only just feeling great, but looking great and ready to conquer the world. It's almost like in NASCAR or whatever, when cars are driving, they're going around these laps, and it's time for them to stop and see the pit crew. We're that pit crew, making sure they're tuned up, making sure, you know what I'm saying? They got everything they need to go back and win the race. When a boxer is fighting, or a MMA fighter is fighting, and it's time for them to go into the corner, their corner team has specific skills that they use to make sure that that fighter has everything that they need in order to be able to go back in and fight their best fight that next round. So that's what we're doing. We're that corner man. We're that corner team. You know what I'm saying? We're that corner team for our clients, making sure that we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that they're ready to go out and to win in life. It's an important role. It's an important role that we play. And I take that role very, very seriously. As you can see, that blend has come together nicely. I'm repositioning the phone right now for some reason. For some reason, I felt the need to reposition the phone. As you can see, if there's anything you can catch, any imperfections in the cut, go ahead and attack it, man. Because, a lot of clients can't necessarily see certain imperfections in the haircut when it comes to the finished look of the haircut. But as a barber, you have the eye. You see it. So any imperfection you see in that cut, make sure it's straightened out before you hand them the mirror. Definitely make sure it's straightened out before you let them walk out that door. Make sure you've done the best cut that you can do every single time. Even if you might be running behind schedule, even if you might be dealing with life trying to distract you with stuff, the mindset is you strive for excellence. Don't settle for mediocrity. Strive for greatness. Don't settle for normal. Don't settle for okay. Don't settle for average. Don't settle for decent. We are striving for excellence. Excellence only. That's the standard. That's the standard. It doesn't matter if you're just getting started. It doesn't matter if you're just getting out of school. It doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 50 years. Excellence is the standard. I've been cutting hair at the time of this recording. I've been cutting hair 37 years now, since I was 13 years old. And I'm at the point in my life where I want to share as much as I can with everybody. I used to work at a barber school, so I've learned how to articulate what I do. I've helped over 200 people get their license in school and out of school, because I also used to have apprentices come and I would teach them some things too at the barbershop. In the state of New York, at the time where I lived there, you could have any amount of apprentices that you want. You can have as many apprentices as you want. In the state of Georgia, it's a little different. So that's why it's important to know, what the rules are in your state, what the laws are, what the standard is in your specific state. But when I started cutting hair in 1989, there was no YouTube. There was no internet. So I had to learn the hard way. I didn't have, an uncle that I can go to that could teach me some things. I was too young to go and hang out at the barbershop. So I had to go ahead and learn the hard way. I had to pray to God to help me to learn how to cut hair. Teach me how to cut hair, guide my hands. And as you can see, God has done an amazing job, and I'm thankful for him showing me this game. I want to share it with as many people as possible. So when you get a chance, just put in the comments of what country you're watching this from, what city, what state, what parish you're watching this video from. It is going to be on YouTube as long as possible. So as you can see, it's all coming together. Making sure his line is tight. One very important thing you want to keep in mind when it comes to the line, you want to keep your work in front of you. Keep your work in front of you. It's a very important tip. There's some people that I've had to redirect them because they were cutting from angles, and in cutting from angles, when you look at the cut from the front, when you put it in front of you, it's not going to be straight. You're cutting at an angle, it might look straight at an angle, but when you put it in front of you, it has to be straight. If it's not straight, you got to fix it. You got to straighten that out. So that's why it's important in the first place to keep your work in front of you. You fading, keep that fade in front of you. You're doing a line, keep that line in front of you. You're doing a taper, keep that taper in front of you. Always keep your work in front of you. Brushing it out to make sure that we don't have any fly hairs poking up or anything like that. Making sure we don't have any loose hairs hanging. If there are any, brush is going to catch it. Any hangover hairs, anything like that, we're going to catch it. Make sure that line is nice and sharp. Once again, that is the Andis Phenom Trimmer. That's the Andis Phenom Trimmer. And if you have any questions, put it in the comments. Any questions, put it in the comments. I will respond as quickly as possible. Or you can go ahead and direct message me if you got any questions or anything like that. If there's anything you want to learn, anything you need any type of coaching on when it comes from cutting hair, or if you want to learn more about the barbershop business, if you want to learn to open your own shop, if you want to learn how to get funding, I will do what I can to assist you, because I've done all of that. I've owned barbershops. I've gotten funding for the barbershops. I've taught at a barber school for a few years, helped over 200 people. in the process of getting their license. I've even coached people after they've gotten their license, after they've gotten barbershops. So I can assist you in a lot of different areas. Going over it right now with the clipper closed. Putting the shears on that thing. And then once this fade is done, what I did is I hit it with a razor, leaned them back, went over the line with the straight razor. I think this video ends before I get to that point. But the point of this video is mainly just a fade, so you'll be able to see how that works. As far as any razor work or anything like that, I might do that as a separate video. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, share. Like, comment, and share. Like Myron Golden says, all the YouTube-y stuff. So that this word can get out and people can learn this craft. I'll holler at y'all later. Thank you for watching. Thank you.